Hello out there. I am Jane Liebecker coming to you from Seattle, Washington. I am a certified coach from the Eddie Villa program, and I love to use the Gallup Strengths Assessment as one of my tools.
I am Manetta Fields, joining you from Maryland. I too am a certified coach through the Eddie Villa program. I absolutely love that tool. That Gallup Strengths Assessment is amazing.
Our special guest today is Nancy Hagman. Nancy, where are you coming to us from?
We have lots of time zones represented here. I'm coming from Florida, but I'm actually in the central time zone. And it's warm here right now, and has been and will be whenever this recording is out about.
Awesome. Nancy, we're so glad you're here. Could you share with us what your dominant domain is?
I only have one. I have relationship building. I have 6 of them in my top 10. And in learning about my strengths and from the coaching program with Eddie Villa, I began to realize that that was obsessive. And I believe that's true. I think that's spot on.
Awesome. So you two learned it through the Eddie Villa connection, but can you share with us, how did it feel when you first learned about yours?
I first learned about probably the top 5 several years before I ever got involved with learning more from Eddie Villa. And I had taken it and I read it and I thought that was fine. And what it said was good. And I agreed with, pretty much when I read it. And that was it. I didn't know how to utilize it. It just affirmed more than anything else. But when I began to learn from Eddie, how he began to understand strengths differently and how he began to present them, looking at the top 10 rather than just the top 5.
So we're going to talk about Relator today with you.
All right.
Where is Relator in your top 10?
Relator is my number 5. When I began to look at what that meant, it is spot on for me. There's absolutely no questions about it. In the top 10, number 5 is the one that helps you move through your strengths the best. And I know for myself, when I get stuck that I can't seem to know what to do or where to go, if I reach out to a person that I'm close to, that's the first thing that boom starts me moving. So I call somebody, I visit somebody, I make a connection with somebody that's kind of in my inner circle. And once that happens, then I can move away. I can move pretty quickly through the rest of my strengths. It's kind of an amazing thing to me to realize it works that quickly. All I have to do is read my strengths DNA, which is something else that you learn about. But I say that out loud, and then I go directly to my relator and figure out who it is I need to connect with.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that strategy. So for those who may not know what Relator is, I'm just going to share the short description from Gallup. People who are strong in the Relator theme enjoy close relationships with others. They find deep satisfaction in working hard with friends to achieve a goal. You've already beautifully described how that plays out for you.
And it does. It does. I think it also contributes to a couple of other areas in my strengths. Often people will say, Nancy, you're so steady. You're calm. You bring a calm presence. And I think Relator is a part of that. I also don't put up with a lot of malarkey, and I don't really like conversations about the weather. And so I want a deeper conversation. I want something that's meaningful to me, and hopefully meaningful to whoever I'm with.
So what is your number 1 strength, Nancy?
Number 1 is connectedness. And connectedness works really well for me, because when I get discouraged and things aren't going my way, and I think that people are doing it wrong, and I don't understand why it's going to do what it's doing, and connectedness is things happen for a reason, kind of trust the cycle of life, so to speak. Trust what is happening has an importance behind it, and allow that to unfold instead of what I would call pushing against the flow, or pushing against the river, going with it, and know that the outcome is going to be probably more valuable than I thought it would have been when I started.
Right. Insight.
So you shared how beautiful it is to use your relator and connect with your close friends when you feel stuck. Is there another example you can provide for us that relator shows up in?
People come to me because of what I consider the calmness of relator. And there's a sense of trust that is built. I don't build trust with a lot of people. I build it with my few inner circle, who I need to call, but people seek me out because that seems to emulate from that particular strength. The other part that I think it does, and I mentioned this earlier, is there's an element of calmness that I present, that I'm kind of unaware of. In a crisis or whatever, I just kind of go in and do that. And I don't know if that's connectedness, that I believe things happen for a reason, but people look to me and say, how can you be so calm in that situation? And there's a natural gift around that for me, that I'm not real sure. I think it's a combination. Adaptability is high for me, and I can kind of go with things that come along, and I don't have a rigid outcome a lot of times. And I also have a ranger, which is finding out where things fit the best.
How do you think that your connectedness influences your relator? You talked a little bit about it, but we talk about how they work together.
Connectedness was number one in both times that I took it. Some of the others kind of jostled around in position, but connectedness was number one. And so I don't think there's probably any of my top 10 that aren't influenced by connectedness. All of them are influenced by the bottom line is my belief in a higher power, and my belief in things happen for a reason, my belief in the interconnectedness of people, and also in our world.
What would you say you really like about relator?
That I don't have to like everybody. I don't have to make friends with everybody. They don't all have to be in my inner circle. I don't have to win people over. I can pick and choose who I really enjoy and want to be with. It also gets me off the hook. There are times people ask me to do things, and I kind of stop and say, is this something I really want to do with this person? And if the answer is no, then I tend not to do it. I have to find a really good reason why I need to do that now. And so I can understand the hesitancy, based on a lot of people have taken a lot of tests and say, oh, I learned something, but I didn't learn a whole lot. With Clifton Strengths, the more I understand how deep it goes with the research, it is based so strongly on significant research for years and years and years. And so when they ferret that out, what they end up doing is really defining those words so succinctly, very differently than what we would think relator or connectedness or any of them mean. But the best part of all is learning it, is taking the test and learning it through Edivia.
Mhm.
The Gallup even divides out the top 10 when they show across the screen. They divide it out, but they don't talk about the top 10. Typically, they stay in the top 5. So somehow or another, the top 10 is significant, even though they may not realize how they've done that and how significant that is. But at some level, which I believe is sort of unconscious that comes through, that they did divide out the top 10 for a reason that they may not know about nor talk about, but Eddie does. And he really pulls that together well. Yeah. So decide why you're hesitant, you know, worth the $55. You're not going to go wrong. The other part about it is that even if you never talk to a coach or you never do anything else, if you read what's really on those pages besides the first page in depth, and they begin to describe you to the T, and you're like, really? Seriously? You know that from taking this test? It is extremely powerful.
Agreed. Well, thank you. That was good. Thank you.
Oh, I loved it.
We enjoyed this time with you. Thank you.
Yeah, I did too. This is great. Thank you.